Which head coach needs the win more in the NFC Championship game, Trysta? Sean McVay for the LA Rams or Mike McDonald for the Seattle Seahawks, and why?
I think it's pretty obvious. It's Sean McVay, right? Like, the last time these two teams played, the Rams figured out the Seattle defense. Matt Stafford put up 400 passing yards. And because of coaching mistakes, decision-making blunders, they lost that game and lost the opportunity to have home field advantage. And then McVay just had to call out his own bad decision-making in the Bears playoff game. We need a McVay masterclass in order for stench to come off of his shoulders.
See, I think you're right short term. I think historically, his legacy is pretty secure already with the Super Bowl a couple years ago, obviously. Now, that doesn't mean that everyone's going to speak glowingly about him forever, but he's got that chip already, and he's kind of thought to be, along with Kyle Shanahan, like the front runners of this new age of offensive football in the NFL. I think this is clearly, and I love that we disagree here, organic, is Mike McDonald, because if the Seahawks beat the Rams, I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. I think winner of this game wins the Super Bowl. Apologies to the Patriots and the Broncos. And if Seattle wins the next couple games, I think we start to have a conversation where on offense, it's McVay and Shanahan, right, as like the leaders of this generation. On defense, it's going to be Mike McDonald, and he will vault himself into that elite class, into the rarefied air. I kind of think McVay's already there. McDonald's not. That's why I think Mike McDonald's the answer.
And to your point, although McDonald has some time, like he's still a young head coach in this league, it will also show that you can win without one of the friends of McVay boy kid geniuses, that you can do it with defense and a suspect quarterback.
That's the way it is now, right? Mike Shanahan changed the game. A lot of NFL teams kind of run these schemes. You're 100% right, though, that Mike McDonald will show. And we've seen this with some of the hires in this cycle. Maybe defense is kind of the new wave in the NFL. And if the Seahawks win this game and win Super Bowl 60, Mike McDonald will undoubtedly, unquestionably be the leader of that movement. Quarterback, I think, is really interesting also. Trysta, which quarterback needs this more on Sunday? Matthew Stafford or Sam Darnold?
I just feel you're gonna be like a counter person. Like, you're just
like I was with the last answer?
Yeah, like exactly. Like, the answer is obviously Sam Darnold, but you'll find some way to finesse me into telling me it's Matt Stafford. I can just already tell based on your face. The Seahawks beat the Niners by over 30. And Sam Darnold had 124 passing yards and 1 TD. They gave the ball to Kenneth Walker, and they just let him cook over and over again. What happens if there's a team that can stop the run? The Rams held DeAndre Swift to 76 rushing yards on 20 carries. What's going to happen if Kenneth Walker is neutralized? I know what Matt Stafford can do. I know what his ceiling is. We have not seen Sam Darnold silence the critics. The Rams' defense is getting better and better. Sam Darnold threw 4 picks and 2 picks. He needs this one. You cannot convince me. I am convinced you cannot convince me it's not Sam Darnold.
I am convinced that I'm not going to try and convince you. Sam Darnold is the answer to the question. And I can't answer it's Stafford with the way I answered the first question. Like, Stafford won a Super Bowl. His legacy is already secure. Like, Sam Darnold right now, his legacy is falling short in big games. So I agree with you. The answer is Darnold. I don't know if we're ever going to be having the conversation where, like, is Sam Darnold going to the Hall of Fame? Which doesn't mean that he can't be a great quarterback or win a Super Bowl. I don't know if we're ever going to get there, Hall of Fame, right? Now, I think Stafford's on the right side of that debate for right now. If they do win another one, it's not just that he's a lock, and he probably is close to one already. Now, like, he vaults into the stratosphere of the very best quarterbacks in the history of the National Football League. He'll have more Super Bowls than Aaron Rodgers. He'll have more Super Bowls than Brett Favre, where you can actually say Matthew Stafford is one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the league. So you're right. Darnold's the answer, but I do think there's a lot on the line as well for Matthew Stafford. Agree or disagree with that?
I agree. The crazy thing is that right before the season started, there were whispers that, like,
Remember this? The back injury? Absolutely.
Then it was like basically on death's door.
Couldn't walk, couldn't play, couldn't throw a football.
You would have had me convinced that they were hiding an injury that was going to cause him to retire in week 5, and now he's going to win MVP, and the Rams might win the Super Bowl, and he might go down in the pantheon of the top quarterbacks ever, and that all happened in the same 12 months.
It's unbelievable. It's like they got the back-to-tank from Star Wars that they healed Luke Skywalker in, put Stafford in there, he had a broken back, now he might win MVP and might win the Super Bowl. You're 100% right about that. So the wide receiver position. two of the best receivers in the league. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Seattle. Puka Nacua, Los Angeles Ram. Which receiver needs this game more and needs a big game more? JSN, Puka, and why?
I think it's JSN. I can be convinced that it's Puka, but the thing about JSN to me is he doesn't get really a lot of respect. Barnwell came out and he's like, Puka deserves Offensive Player of the Year over JSN. Their numbers are very similar, but when you talk to a casual NFL fan, everyone is saying Puka over JSN. If JSN puts together an incredible game and then they end up on the backs of him, yes, defense and the running game. On the backs of him, though, he has like those crucial moments like he did the last time they played, setting up the 2-point conversion. I think that will like tick him up respect level. Puka's not going to get any higher in the respect level. JSN, I think, is still wildly disrespected.
I don't know that people will change their opinions of Puka Nacua based on how the next couple of weeks go, unless he wins Super Bowl MVP. And now the conversation is he going to go down as one of the best receivers ever? Like, is he on the fast track to go to the Hall of Fame? I don't know that people, despite the great season this year from JSN, view him in that way, to your point, where Puka's done this now for 3 years. This is the 1 year where you can actually say JSN has been one of the best receivers in the league. And if JSN is able to finish this off and Seattle wins the Super Bowl, even if he doesn't win MVP, but he's great in the conference championship game and great in the Super Bowl, it's not impossible that we will enter next season, fantasy football draft season, and say that he's the best receiver in the league. Like, it's all in front of JSN coming up to Sunday, Trysta, against the LA Rams.
Yeah, 1,000%. I don't think anything that he can do will put him into the category and the conversation of could he be the best receiver in the league.
See, I don't know if I agree. I think if he balls out and he's the best player in the next 2 games, I think we can have that conversation with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and Puka Nacua.
I hope so, but like people are really dumb. And like he's very underrated. The Pacific Northwest never gets the respect that it deserves. And so I feel like he's got to
Where are you from, by the way?
I'm from Portland.
Oh, just wanted to get that out there, yes.
I think the Pacific Northwest is like some weird place out in the West Coast, like late night games. And so almost it's like this place that never really gets covered to the point that they should. And so I think JSN will need to not just do this, but he'll need to do it again for another 12 months. And Seattle will need to succeed even more. And he'll need to ball out again next year in order for us to start thinking of him as best in the league.
Let's say JSN has 100 yards and a touchdown this Sunday against the Rams. The Seahawks win, and he's really good in the Super Bowl. Maybe he wins MVP. Maybe he doesn't. Let's fast forward to the summer, knowing what we know under that scenario. JSN or Jamar Chase? Who do you got?
Jamar Chase.
I think it's close. JSN or Justin Jefferson? Who do you got?
Well, JSN simply because I really do not trust the quarterback situation in Minnesota. But on any team with any quarterback, I would take Justin Jefferson.
JSN or Puka Nacua?
I think it's Puka Nacua. I think just from the rushing capability, and maybe it's McDonald's scheme and how they don't want to use JSN in that way, but Puka's, I think, the more versatile receiver right now.
I think that if we get there and JSN is the best player the next couple games, I think we can have a conversation going into next year. Is JSN the best wide receiver in the NFL?